Revelation 2740. From the 15th of May 1943. Fight against different schools of thought allowed by God. Whoever wants to confess God before the world must be of convinced faith, otherwise he will not stand firm against the persecutions and threats of the world. Convinced faith, however, does not make him despondent, because he does not doubt God's help, if it is needed. Convinced faith, however, cannot be taught or transmitted in a school-like manner, it must be won through serious thought and right prayer. And that is why God allows the battle against the different schools of thought to cause people to think about the pros and cons of the different doctrines of faith. The human being has usually been pushed into a school of thought, first against his own will. That is, he belongs to the school of thought which was presented to him by his fellow human beings as correct, or whose teaching he has absorbed through his education. And so there are many such directions opposite each other, and each one claims to be right. As soon as the human being seriously reflects, he has to recognize the flimsiness of many a doctrine of faith and reject it as unacceptable. And he also does this as soon as he seriously strives towards God and truth. If a school of thought is endangered by human measures or prohibitions, the human being will take a special stance on it, and this is the purpose or reason why God allows the world to proceed, because now the opportunity is given to exchange the most diverse opinions and to think about each one. Nothing happens in the world without purpose. And even where human will strives for the opposite, God directs the effect of the wrong will such that spiritual advantage can arise from it for the human being if he does not resist it. The coming battle of faith will be so fiercely fought that the human being will have to make a decision because his earthly comfort and his life are at stake. And then everyone will ask himself what he gains and what he gives up if he decides for God or the world. And then only he who is of firm, convinced faith will stand firm. But this one will stand up for his opinion, he will stand up for God and confess him aloud before all the world. For he has penetrated spiritual knowledge through serious thought, and therefore nothing will frighten him, no matter what people do against him, because he knows that he is protected by God, whom he has recognized. God himself has introduced him to spiritual knowledge and strengthened his faith so that he can withstand every temptation. For as soon as the human being seriously reflects and spiritually deepens himself, God himself is close to him and he mentally instructs him, and the result is a firm, convinced faith which people can no longer rob from him. The fight against the different schools of thought causes people to take a stand more than ever, partly forced by worldly measures or of their own accord, in order to reach the light. And serious reflection is always beneficial, for only now will the teachings of faith gain life, only now will the human being himself awaken to life and be active. He will accept what appears acceptable to him and reject what he cannot affirm with conviction. And that is why the faith struggles are permitted by God, so that people will decide before the decision is demanded of them. The faith struggle will be carried into all circles, high and low, poor and rich, old and young will be touched by it, and in all the question will arise, what can I stand for with conviction? And in order to be able to answer this question, he must mentally take a stand on what has been offered to him so far as tradition, what he has taken over from people again. And only then can he decide either to advocate with conviction or to speak out against it with equal conviction, depending on the human being's will for truth and his striving towards God. Amen.